It has been 551 days since Chris Chan was placed in custody, 25 days since the last known communication with Chris, and I guess they stopped keeping track of the Jesus counter. Welcome to the Chris Chan update. My name is GiBi. It has been quite a while since I've done one of these. I think it was September the last time I looked at some of Chris's art, and there's been a couple that have been leaked since then, so we're going to jump right back into this. I'm actually really excited to delve back into the world of Chris Chan after basically not keeping up with him for like 2 months. If you're not subscribed, maybe you only get some of my videos in your feed. You might not know that for the month of December, I was putting out a short related to Sonichu every day of the month, and I'm actually doing that again now in February, where every day I'm releasing a 1-minute short about Chris Chan's love quest. You may have also missed my 3-year-in-the-making video about Spurts hunting a chicken. If you like Sonichu, you might be interested in that. And on Christmas, I released a video where I did a reading of the Sonichu Christmas issue. So if you're interested in Sonichu, again, I have a lot of content for past, old amazing Chris Chan before he went legitimately insane. So now we're going to be looking into the legitimately insane Chris Chan. Let's go. So all of these pieces of art are listed from mid-September onward. Now once again, these are being sent from Chris in jail to his friend the Praters, who run an Etsy shop where they are selling these for $100 to $200 about each. These are obviously just written on printer paper, and they're all folded because they had to fit into envelopes. So you're not getting the most pristine piece of art ever. All of them start with this following sentence. They say, "This drawing was made by Christine Weston Chandler while incarcerated at Central Virginia Regional Jail. The following description has been provided via letter." So I'm not going to be reading that out for all the rest of them. Let's take a look at this first one. "The fall of the toxic online cesspool. Ah, the fall of an evil legend, as Kiwi fell hard by the powers of good and light power. I, Sonichu, Rosie, Magichan, and Crizel took a teleport down to Florida to pay last respects to the left-behind haters and fakers who were also doxxed. Divine retribution on them all. The graffiti on the sign had already been spray-painted on long before our visit. It says, 'So long, Ash losers.'" Chris obviously flip-flops a lot between whether or not he likes or does not like the Kiwi Farms, specifically Noel, their founder. He has not liked them for the last 2 years because he sees them as traitors. Noel actually gave the police some information that made him getting arrested a lot more likely. So here's our beautiful image. Apparently it's taken place in the great state of Florida. Got the Kiwi Farms logo, Kiwi Farms, formerly Quickie Farms. It's labeled December 2022, even though this was released in September, so I guess it's a vision of the future. Yeah, this was drawn on September 13th, so Chris is having a vision 2 months into his future and 2 months into our past about what will come to pass in Florida. So Chris is saying, I've paid my respects to that left-behind cesspool. Let's go. We've got a couple more stops to make." And Sonichu says, "Oh yeah, didn't Onion Farms collapse a day or 2 ago?" Again, this is a prediction of what Chris is going to think is going to happen in the future. And Chris then continues, "Yep," I legitimately cannot read this, I need to enhance. "Yep, that building on Killey?" It definitely says building on. Building on Killey. Killey. Riecey? Nicely. No, what? It says that building went down with the Antichrist that was running it. I gotta pick up his urn from the creamery. So, Chris also had a falling out with the leader of the Onion Farms, and now the leader of the Onion Farms is going to actually, remake his own Sonichu comic without Chris's involvement, so Chris really does not have many friends on the outside, except for the Praters, and I have no idea what this says. Maybe it's a location. Maybe it's supposed to be, the address of the Onion Farms headquarters. Like how 4 Cent Garbage had a headquarters in Tennessee. When Bubbles and Blake first met. Clear and simple. The two literally bumped into each other without a proper introduction on June 14th, 2004 at the Quickville Mall. Blake was seriously awed by her aura and both inner and outer beauty. Bubbles was buying craft tools for her seashell crafts, as well as some more of her favorite teas. I'm pretty sure that Blake fought the entire chaotic combo in early Sonichu issues. Pretty sure that Bubbles lived in the ocean long before she would have joined civilization and gone to Quickville Mall, and that they fought Blake in that issue, so this is incorrect. Okay, so they literally ran into each other, and Blake is saying, "Ugh, nah, I'm alright." And Bubbles is saying, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" I'm guessing these are supposed to be flipped around the other direction. And then, suddenly, Blake gasps. He has now seen her beauty. I need the bead wire and glue for my seashell crafts. The yearly craft fair is tomorrow, and my shell's shoaled. It's a tongue twister. It's literally a tongue twister, actually. The yearly craft fair is tomorrow, and my shells sold fast last year. Anyway, I gotta run. I'm sorry for the accident. Bye. See, the reason that Chris is writing this as a romantic encounter between these two hedgehogs is because most of his encounters with women in real life also ended with, I'm sorry for the accident, bye. I used to not really make fun of Chris as much, but you know, now he's in jail for a horrific crime, so I don't feel bad. My C-197 self-counterparts, past self and I. That is a lot to unpack, hold on. So Chris is writing this from the perspective of himself, because C-197 is the other universe. So, the Chris that appeared in the comic books, which is different than the Chris who is in real life. The Chris who appeared in the comic books, who was also transgender, her past self, because it's a fictional character, don't mind calling it a her, it's fictional. The fictional character's past self was male, and so that's who this is drawn here. So, Chris is talking to the fictional past self version, so the version of Chris you would have seen in the first 10 issues of Sonichu. After being flung from October 2006 to October 2022, and from C-197 Earth half to 1218 Earth half, Christian and I talk of the events and updates. This bit of dialogue speaks for itself. This is actually now the second time that comic book Chris has traveled to the future and learned information, but then when he came back he didn't use that information for anything, because if Chris actually traveled to the modern world's future of 2022, and then returned to his own time, then the comics should not have played out the way that they did, but let's see what Chris is retconning now. At the Sonichu Temple, October 13th, 2022. Keep in mind, Sonichu Temple refers to Chris's home, which he's now banned from because of the restraining order against Barb. It says, whole undivided Earth of universe 4D1C211987. Again, I know it's been a while. Chris believes in the dimensional merge. He thinks that these two universes are going to form together and we're all going to be one big happy universe family. So Chris believes when he wrote this in September that by October, the universes would have merged. He would have unlocked his goddess powers, escaped jail, and gone back home, and actually met his self-counterpart from the other universe. And this is what they would talk about. The fictional Chris would say, so let me get this straight. You are the future version of my 1218 Earth self-counterpart and still God? But the real Chris says yes. Fictional Chris continues, and you are a trans woman, thus putting my homophobia at a moot point? The real Chris says yep. The fictional Chris says, I still can't get over how sexy... I knew about the incest. I was not prepared for the self-cest. I still can't get over how sexy and awesome you are. Or rather, I will be. Or something. And Chris says, yeah and yes. And fictional Chris says, and Megan swindled and manipulated you out of all those purchases? And from late 2007 to 2021, 9 people took advantage of you from the internet, pretending to be women interested in you? He doesn't have his question mark there, but I think it's supposed to be a question mark. Like a rhetorical question. Some of them actually were at least one woman who faked interest. Those males pretending to be women. And then the real Chris cuts him off and says, some of them actually were at least one woman who faked interest. Fictional Chris continues, that baffles me, but I'm still ticked off. And real Chris says, I was too. You're married with Magichan and Mewtwo and Sylvana and Crizel, and I end up single parent of 2 kids? So this is actually important to remember that the real Chris still wants to have a daughter named Crystal, and he needs a real human woman to do that. And he has actually said that in the past, and it was very coherent of him. Whereas the fictional version of Chris has 2 children. Initially, he had these children because he raped Sonichu. But that was actually just made to happen by a troll. So now the new explanation is that Chris saved some of his navy from before he transitioned, and then because he used magic to transition, he actually has a working womb. So he used his own stuff to impregnate himself. So I guess it really was self-cessed the entire time. The real Chris says, yes, and I am very glad, and I'll let you figure out for yourself how you became a mother. You don't want to know. Fictional Chris finishes by saying, on the one hand, by my return to 2010, I'll have dodged many bullets. On the other, my love life is self. So he's aware. He knows about the self-cest. Real Chris continues by saying, it's not a bad thing, Chris, and you have everyone on your side and helping you out. Count your blessings. So again, Chris made this on September 19th, and it takes place on October 13th, so he really thought within 3 weeks of drawing this that he would be on the loose and with magical powers. No one can convince me that Chris does not actually believe that these things are real. I used to think that maybe he was just like pretending or deluding himself, but I now actually believe that he thinks it's all real. Next image. Nate Cirque failed, even with a wig, glasses, and mustache. Nate Cirque is the evil twin of Chris, born from the dark dimension or something. Actually, he's the evil twin of the fictional Chris, not the real Chris. That's important, I think. On December 22nd, 2004, Nate Cirque saw an attempt to collect a fresh sample of Sonichu Prime's fur while he was talking to Chris, Allison, and Rosie at Quickville's Mall's food court. Nate Cirque had a small pair of scissors to trim the hairs from his tail, but he did not anticipate being paralyzed by Sonichu's static. Nate Cirque was in disguise with a black jacket, black wig, mustache, and glasses. In the moment seeing him on the ground, and just desserts for Nate Cirque, Sonichu placed the mustache on his eyebrows. He put on the wig, she put on the glasses, and they posed for a silly instant print Polaroid photo. Nate Cirque was teleported back to his hotel room by Magi-chan and given a full heal to cure the paralysis. See, if I ever decide to cover Sonichu again, like even if Chris never releases any more comics, if I want to go in and take all this this non-comic canon stuff and insert this back into the story, yeah, it would be incoherent. Epic fail for Nate Cirque after attempt for fresh Sonichu fur sample. Curses Team Rocket. Foiled again by us meddling Pokemon. A soul swap. During their stay at Quickville in Tails' workshop in Quickville in the early 2000s, and after hearing of the heavy-duty properties of the shoes and socks of Sonichu's and Rosechu's, it is featured in the Pokedex entries. Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonichu Prime swapped shoes for a day. Oh, soul, like soles of your feet, I get it. The shoes of Sonichu's and Rosechu's are seriously fireproof. Will not burn when on hot lava or magma. There's also a company who recycles the discarded, lost, or old footwear of the species for the best heavy-duty footwear and running shoes. Cruelty-free. Zap Shoes Inc. Run with a spark. If it's not a running shoe, it's not Zap. Hey guys, do you think that when Sonichu has to order two of his Zap shoes, 2 shoes from Zap, that he uses Zapdos? Get it? Because it sounds like Zappos, which is a real shoe selling website, and because Zapdos is a Pokemon. That's a really good pun, actually. You should subscribe. So you have Sonic talking to Sonichu, and Sonic says, "So those are fireproof, huh?" And Sonichu says, "Oh yes, I ran over the really hot spots on Cinnabar Island, Pennsylvania." Okay, this is a list. It's Cinnabar Island, Pennsylvania, and California. Chris did not retcon Cinnabar Island from Pokemon to be in Pennsylvania. I rescind my laugh. I am sorry. I ran over the really hot spots on Cinnabar Island, Pennsylvania, and California. It's about like having a fire shield on your feet. And Sonic finishes by saying, "Very cool. I know some hot places not far from here. I'm gonna dash and test 'em out. Alpha Omega. Simply put, it's me and a bunch about my life lives on an RCA video disc from the 1980s. If you wanted to watch this, you'd have to fork over an amount of money, or go back in time for a working RCA Selectavision video disc player. This was the vinyl record predecessor of the DVD. What's the Chris Chan equivalent of analog horror? I think that would still be analog horror. Jesus Christ Chan Sonichu Prime, Volume Alpha Omega. Welcome to the Akashic Records. Essentially, I'm taking another visit to the infinite library of the Akashic Records for the new information to download into my brain from there next. What to download into my consciousness next? If he's so speedy, why doesn't he download all of it? Akashic Records Zone Act 1. So that's the format of how levels are named in the real Sonic video games. So I guess he's turning the infinite library of the Akashic Records, which is this, it's a real thing, it's not just a Chris Chan thing, it's like this weird psychic people thing, they think there's this giant library or whatever, sci-fi thing that Chris is stealing now for his own lore, and he's turning it into a Sonic the Hedgehog level. Akashic Records Zone Act 1. 1 infinity squared. Exactly what it looks like. I'm running throughout the Akashic Records with the infinite information on everything in all local and multiversal and multidimensional existence. Pinkie Pie frequents the Akashic Records. Look for all the Easter eggs on the various media flying about, including Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin being left behind. Okay guys, we're gonna have to enhance this again. We have Chris running. We have, oh god, I can't read any of this. Okay, so yeah, it's a bunch of books, VHSs, tapes, Pinkie Pie. I can read Pinkie Pie. There's a cassette, but I can't read any of it. This is really upsetting. I wonder if there's a less compressed version somewhere, or if the Praters can actually get a better copy, because this photo isn't even like, you can tell by the way the photo's taken, it's kind of blurred at the top. that, like, the camera was shaking slightly, and obviously it's not a direct flat-on angle, so it's kind of up to the Praters to take a better picture, or it's up to somebody to buy this for like $100 and then take a better picture, and I do not recommend doing that. This says Sonic X Season 1 DVD. Okay, I can read that at least. Alright, so this is actually 2 different images. Picture 1, the top drawing, says, "I'm at Soup. I like some good memes. They're fun, but I like the Soup Store meme among them. Has anyone wondered what types of clothes are sold at the Soup Store? Well, Rosie Rosechew Prime knows, and she'll find them. They also sell dish towels, bowls, pots, teapots, and even some teas. Can you argue with us on that? Nope. Also, an Easter egg. Andy Warhol's favorite soup, Campbell's Mock Turtle Soup. Seriously, Campbell's should bring back Mock Turtle Soup because it sounds and feels yummy." So you have Rosechew in the soup store, and Sonichew's leaning over the aisle, and he's yelling, "What store are you in?" And Rosie is saying, "I'm at Soup." And Sonichew is saying, "What do you mean you're at Soup?" And Rosechew is saying, "I'm at the soup store." And Sonichew is saying, "Why are you buying clothes at the soup store?" And Rosechew is saying, "They have really nice aprons here, and specialty shirts, socks, oven mitts, pot holders, and hats." And then Sonichew says, "Oh, well, I can't argue with that, and I think that's supposed to be a punchline, and it's definitely not." One thing I will continue to say about Chris's jail art is, even though a lot of it is not good, some of it is insanely good, and yes, okay, this is just a pen drawing on a piece of paper, whatever, the perspective's not fantastic, but the fact is, you have in the bottom right corner, in the background of this little cutaway to where Sonichew is on the phone, you have the recreation of the picture of the entire chaotic combo, which has actually been in Sonichew before, that Chris is obviously drawing from memory because he's in jail. This, like, pose of Sonichew with his ears like this and his tail like that, and he's holding the phone, like, Chris is not copying this. He's not even using, like, a reference image. This is all from memory. He also drew, like, these counters and, like, these shelves and stuff like that, and he made all the different individual cans and gave them labels, and you have Sonichew leaning over from a different panel off page to look in with his phone call. Like, this is real comic book writing stuff. And yes, I do have the bare minimum expectations, but this image surpasses them. This is better than 99% of pictures drawn for the Sonichew comics. The second picture continues this comic, and it says, and it's titled, "I found the clothes at the soup store. I told you she'd find them. They were in the back of the soup store. The store flyer did not lie." And the radio is singing, "For the merry bells keep ringing, happy holidays to you." There's aprons for $6, kiss this cook. Oh, there's shirts, the signs on the ground for some reason, hats, a nice sweater. Rosechew says, "Oh, here they are, right in the back of the store. I'll be home in a little while, Sonichew." And Sonichew says, "Ah, buying clothes at the soup store. Me." And the real Chris, who is on a poster, it looks like a wanted poster, but it's definitely not supposed to be. It says, "Hey, me too, and I like this meme." It's dated November 13th, 2022. I'm very jealous, actually, that Sonichew has a signed picture of Chris Chan. I wish I had a signed picture of my god. This next set of images are called the Schultz collection. This is in reference to Charles Schultz, the author of the Charlie Brown comic strip. So just by looking at this, I can tell it's going to involve those characters, because there wasn't enough fictional creations that were in Sonichew already. Now we got Charlie Brown. Inspired by the season and the recent birthday of Peanuts cartoonist Charles Schultz, Christine has drawn a series of special Christmas illustrations. Simple wisdom for all ages in the rainbow. That's not a saying. Sonichew Prime, Rosie Rosechew Prime, and I share insights from developing with experience and spirituality with the Peanuts gang, arranged from pink to white, with Snoopy as Joe Cool nearby. This insight applies to everyone, young, teen, adult, and old regardless, including dudes of all teen ages. Haha, classic Chris Chan comedy, haha. Alright, so I'm going to start at the top and then read left to right. So we have Chris Chan saying, "Listen well, children, teens, and adults, young and old, for this insight should behold. No matter how young or old you may be, physically, the real age is that in your own soul, personality, morals, and experiences." Sonichew says, "That's right, I was very experienced as a Pikachu before I transformed into the Sonichew Prime I am. I've had to relearn and learn more, despite my level of experiences." And Chris Chan says, "You know who you are and your priorities and needs as well. So you can find appreciation in others in like. Be open-minded and open-hearted." And Rosechew concludes the speech by saying, "And it takes wisdom and patience to comprehend fully, even for and of yourself. Learn and appreciate from kindness and compassion for everyone else, in addition for yourself. And then Joe Cool's thinking to himself, at least there's no wah-wah trombone sound here, because in the Charlie Brown cartoons, there's no adult dialogue, it's just a wah-wah trombone sound effect, and these characters are adults, so if you're looking at the canonicity of Peanuts comics, then they should be tromboned, but they're not, because I guess that's something that Charles Schultz misinterpreted from his dreams when he was looking into C-197, and so Chris Chan actually knows the real canon of the Peanuts better than Charles Schultz. Why am I yelling? Reading Chris Chan's dialogue after all this time, especially after having experimented with, like, Chat GPT and stuff, it really sounds like a bad AI is just kind of putting things together. Like, if you told the AI, hey, come up with a good speech to teach morals to children, it would just say stuff like, learn and appreciate from kindness and compassion for everyone else. Like, Chris isn't saying anything here. There's no wisdom in these words. It's just buzzwords. That is a terrifying Charlie Brown. Okay. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Whew. Simple wisdom for all ages in the rainbow. Sonichu Prime, Rosie Rosechu Prime, and I share insights from developing with experience and spirituality with the Peanuts gang. What? What? Did the quickie copy the wrong thing? Because this is the exact same quote as the other, the same caption as the other one. That's not right. Okay, maybe we don't get a caption for this. Instead we have Charlie Brown, who looks terrible, and his friend Blockhead, because that's who I'm going to refer to her as, because she has a blockhead, and they're playing. It says sometime in 1979 AD, and Sonichu's playing around with Charlie Brown, and he says, "I kicked the football, yay!" And Cube Head says, "Hey, that's my job." And Sonichu says, "Shut up, bully." Because after all this time, I guess Charlie Brown finally got to kick the football. Kick it to the moon. Okay, what? Okay, this is totally messed up, because the next one's called Kick It to the Moon. A regular Sonichu held the football, and Charlie Brown kicks it. Lucy, the blockhead, complains by the kite-eating tree. That's obviously supposed to be the caption for the last one. So now we don't have a caption for this one with the upside-down Sonichu. So I'm just guessing that these got mixed up somehow. Team Rocket Base in Virginia, September 12th, 2005. We have, that's Nate Cirque, that's Blake, we got some Team Rocket guys in the background, Bill the scientist. Blake says, wood rock. You got a woodstock flying around the ceiling. A very battle-damaged Chris Chan. You can tell it's Chris Chan because of the medallion. He's walking out in the ceiling. And one of the Team Rocket grunts says, "Hey look, it's Woodstock. Snoopy's been looking for you, man. Ha ha ha." And I guess Chris Chan's mad because he got beat up and he's on the ceiling. I don't get it. Oh, okay, I found the caption. It's the next one. So sorry for that. The day Liquid Chris Sonichu wished for... What? Oh, that wasn't Chris. That was Liquid Chris. Oh my god. The day Liquid Chris Sonichu wished for psychic powers. On September 12th, 2005, after Giovanni promoted Liquid Chris from spy to field agent on August 5th, 2005, and ordered Liquid to remain in Sonichu form while at base and on more missions. His training regimen had started. He only could get so far as a pure rock type, followed by the self-injection of type adding dark and electric. And he really wanted to outwit the Psychic Squadron, Sonichu, and Rosechews. On September 12th, 2005, on a free run away from the base, Liquid Chew found a Chaos S-Chew crystal ball and wished for psychic powers and abilities. Better able than Magichan Sonichu Prime himself. So, this is the brown-shirted imposter, Liquid Sonichu, and that's why he's all beat up. Chris didn't actually just write a comic in which he himself was beaten up by Team Rocket. I guess that something's gonna go wrong for Liquid here in a second. He got his wish, but it backfired, as he flew upside down and backwards for a moment, dropped the Chaos Crystal Ball. Wild Sonichu picked it up and gave it to Quickville's Psychic Squadron. Liquid continued, he flew backward, back to base, landing with a crash on his butt by the front door. Nate Cirque and Blake greeted him. Liquid Chew entered the room while pompously talking, suddenly levitated, flipped upside down, and he was standing on the ceiling as he talked on with lack of visual observation of his surroundings. His eyes were closed. As he walked back to his room, a couple of grunts and GiBi the scientist, no relation to self-counterpart YouTuber what? Why? Apparently that's not Bill the scientist, apparently that's GiBi the scientist, but not only is he not me, he's not even my self-counterpart in the other dimension, so, okay. As he walked to his room, a couple of grunts and GiBi the scientist, no relationship to self-counterpart YouTuber GiBi, were walking by and one grunt called him Woodstock. Maybe it's GiBi ASMR's self-counterpart, I don't know. Okay, so because of the double uploading of the one caption, this image actually does not have a caption. By context, I'm guessing that this is actually the person they're talking to is Charles Schultz, the creator of the Peanuts. So they're sitting in a restaurant, and Charles Schultz is saying, "I've got to hand it to you. You found a good soulful city and pretty good individuals in your unique species." And Chris says, "Thank you, Charles. It took me the time to really appreciate Sonichu, Rosie, Magi-chan, and everyone else. I've enjoyed your shares of discoveries from our C-197 half of Earth from the 70s. I also had a beagle. Barb and I named after Charlie and Shaggy's dogs. We called him Snoopy-Doo." I didn't know that. I didn't know Snoopy's full name was Snoopy-Doo. That's actually really clever and cute. Aw. Oh, whoa, hold on. This thing behind him, it says Ruh-roh, and Sonichu's thinking, "Quite right, Snoopy. This isn't Snoopy, the Peanuts character. This thing right there, that's Snoopy, Chris's, the dog. That's the dog. That's like when Patty died and she became an anthropomorphic dog. This is Chris's dog, Snoopy. This isn't the real Snoopy. No, this is the real Snoopy. This isn't the Peanuts Snoopy." He says Ruh-roh. "At least the dance floor is off the beats good. Can I get another mug of root beer, please?" So I guess the Chris's other dog that died is also anthropomorphic and looks like Snoopy. Okay. This is now the most recent and final photo that we're going to be looking at from today, dated November 26th, 2022. I'd Warhol it. Now, for a little bit of context, in case you missed the videos when this was going on, this guy wrote a several hundred-page nonfiction book comparing the lives of Andy Warhol to Chris Chan. This was right before Chris was arrested and all the information came out, so once that happened, he took down the book and he no longer wants to be associated with Chris. So I don't want to, bring all that back up, but it is important because Chris read the book, and because Chris now believes that he and Andy Warhol are like these temporal soulmates, that they have all this stuff in common, they're intermingled throughout time and destiny and whatever, and I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to take a drink of water. One of my favorite comments of all time is somebody said that my videos were boring and I was like dry and didn't have a good personality, and I just commented under it and I said, "My favorite drink is seltzer water," and that's actually true. Note, Sonichu and Rosechu's shoes and socks are heavy-duty and fireproof. Literally. Sometimes a regular Sonichu or Rosechu may lose, or just go without their natural shoes and socks by choice. Zap Shoes collected the shoes and socks and refurbished, restored, or modded them to be sold as heavy-duty, really long-lasting shoes, boots, or socks. Collected cruelty-free, and buying old shoes from others who collect them. Trainers of Sonichu/Rosechus who may wish to sell, or from independent Sonichu/Rosechus, that sentence didn't have an ending. They founded their first store/factory in Florida in 2005. That gives a lot more reason for him to visit Florida when he went there to, knock down the kiwi farm building or whatever. I wonder why he's so obsessed with Florida now. Anyway, the various shoes and socks bring a recreation from the Peanut special referencing Andy Warhol, with a male regular Rosechu nearby looking for a pair to replace a pair he lost recently. He recently has lost. Okay, so this person in the background is not our Rosechu. It's not Rosechu Prime. It is a male Rosechu. And then you have the other Peanut characters. So the Rosechu is thinking, which style shoe do I want this time? And there's obviously just like a big pile of shoes. So the one on the left, the one with the glasses, that's Marcy. She says, "It looks like a stack of shoe boxes in a shoe store." I think she might be answering Charlie Brown's sister. Sally is saying, "Look at the pieces of sculpture." Okay, so then Marcy says, "It looks like a stack of shoe boxes in a shoe store." As in, it's not a real sculpture, it's just like marketing. And then, I'm guessing that's Peppermint Patty, says, "What do you mean shoe store? That's pop art. What's the matter with you, Marcy? Don't you know pop art when you see it?" So I guess that this is actually not a shoe store display stand, it's actually Andy Warhol art, and he's selling shoes. So that's all the letters in this update, but it's actually not the most recent thing that's happened to Chris Chan. In January, his court case had another continuance. It is now scheduled for February 14th, 2023, which, as you should know, is coming up in just a few days. And as you also should know, is Valentine's Day. Chris's court date is going to be on Valentine's Day, and that's hilarious. Obviously, I don't think that it's actually going to happen. It's probably going to be continued again, and even if it does happen, his case is actually sealed, which is why we're not getting a lot of information from it. But I still think it's hilarious. There is one more thing of note that has happened recently, and I'm not going to cover it in this video because it's not actually true, probably. This video, I want to be a very factual, objective. We're looking at hard evidence, pictures that Chris drew, things that we have documented cases of. This is the Chris Chan news. The next video I put out, that's going to be on a more speculative topic. Basically, this guy claims that he went and visited Chris in jail, and nobody knows if it's true or not. So that is the story that I'm going to be covering next time. Thank you for watching. If you'd like more up-to-the-minute Chris Chan updates, you can follow me on Twitter at GiBi_Devin. And if you want to see more videos like this, or if you want to see my daily Chris Chan shorts on facts about the Love Quest, then you should subscribe. I would like to take a minute at the end of this video to give a shout out to somebody else who is in the Chris Chan community. Helena, who is most famous for her Pikachu Sonichu fan character, has fallen on some hard times. If you could you please visit her Twitter account, which is Helena G. Fiorenza. She's currently doing commissions so that she can save up money to get back on her feet. There's links on her Twitter account to where you can go to commission these artworks, but be warned, she only does commissions for people over the age of 18.
Good afternoon, children. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something very important: morals. Morals are the principles that guide us to make good choices and lead a good life. They help us treat others with kindness and respect and make us feel proud of ourselves.